Dan, good to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Do you want to take 30 to 60 seconds, just give people a bit of context about who you are?
Absolutely. So my name is Dan Adler. I'm a partner in a London-based private equity firm called Apiary Capital. I've worked for now 27 years in low mid-market private equity. And in plain English, what that means is I've worked alongside founders and entrepreneurs to try and be a good partner to them to develop their business on the next stage of the journey, whether that journey is led by accelerating organic growth or acquisitions, both in the UK and overseas, but usually a bit of all of the above. And I've been very, very lucky over all these years to work with some really great and exciting entrepreneurs and their management teams and some really exciting businesses. My focus has generally been service sector companies, generally business services and media.
Brilliant. Thank you. And what's your best piece of advice?
So the best piece of advice I was given was by an entrepreneur who, when I was a very young guy, I was part of the team that backed him. He went on to be hugely successful. And it's really simple. The best piece of advice I took from him was, no matter how busy you are or how much you don't want to do so, always return someone's call on the day that they call you. I tried to stick with that for the last 25 years or so since I had that piece of advice. And I think it works incredibly well for a number of reasons. I think deal processes and working with businesses through their journey, through the ups and downs of their journey, are emotionally exhausting and they can be quite overwhelming from time to time. And often when you see someone's call and you don't want to return their call, often it's something quite innocuous. But I think it's more relevant where you're dealing with the emotional side of a deal. You're trying to understand something that's important to someone. And I think particularly we've become a generation where we are overly reliant on email, and tone doesn't come through an email. Sentiment doesn't come through an email. And it's important for us, as in my industry, as backers of people, to understand what's important to somebody and why is it important. And what's really important to one entrepreneur may not be important to another one. I think the other thing is, you think about your own mental health and capacity to deal with things. I think leaving issues to stew overnight or longer, they balloon in your head. They can disrupt your sleep. They can disrupt your thought patterns, and they often become bigger issues than they actually are. And actually solving issues earlier on, and actually if it is going to lead to a problem or identify a challenge, let's bring that to the fore now, because you never know, the more time you spend thinking about it, the greater ability you have to share that with people as well. I think fundamentally you just want to grasp the tough issues, and often these issues are not as bad as you think as well. And I think related to that, what I think is important to phone people is this reliance on email has also meant a very lazy use of the CC button. So if I'm having an email conversation with you, Dan, and I start involving other people and suddenly it mushrooms and you find there are 15, 20 people on this chain, if you're one of those 15, 20 people, are you supposed to respond to it? Are you supposed to have a view? Far better for the two principals to talk to each other, and far better, in my opinion, is to get that conversation sorted and done, and then you can deal with the issue.
I like that. Thanks. And if people wanted to get into contact with you without trying to create a rod for your back, because you said that you like to call people back on the same day, what kind of contact would be welcomed and how would they go about doing that?
Well, we live in this world where we are very easy to track down. So, LinkedIn is obviously the obvious tool where people can get a hold of you. But I will always, we don't give out business cards anymore, but I will always give people my phone number because, a quick text saying, hey, Dan, would you mind giving me a call on XYZ? I'm worried about it, or, I'm available tonight. Can you call me in the morning? I just think it's just that personal one-to-one communication I think is important. So I will always give out contact details and, always grasp the kind of, the guy wants to speak to me. It's important to him or her. Let's have that conversation.
Right. So if you don't mind, then I'll take your phone number and perhaps add that to the recording.
Yeah, with pleasure. With pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day.
And you. Nice to see you. Cheers.